All right. That was so loud. All right. So thank you all for listening to our staff introductions. And I also want to give a warm welcome to one of our students, alumni, who came and joined on the call today. So we asked him to come on to explain more about his experience. So Saul, would you like to introduce yourself and just explain more about like how long you've been in the program and things and like that?
Yes, my name is Saul Castillo. I'm currently an alumni from Coder classes. I started from the intro to programming class and I finished all through the practicum class. So I'll be happy to share with you all my experience so far in the class. Mhm.
Yes, and thank you so much for introducing yourself. So first, I guess, can you explain like some of the things that you've enjoyed about the program and overall what students can expect coming into the program?
Yes, well, mainly one of the things I mostly liked about the program was making connections with people that until this day I have kept communication with. And even after the classes, I have been working with them, creating group projects to improve our skills. So that's something I really like about Code the Dream, that they let us create connections, meet new people, get new friends, you name it, right? Also, what I really like about Code the Dream is the community. Uh, I think it's the community that has been the most friendly and supportive to me. And I always felt welcome since day one here. So that's something I really love about Cote Dream, the community. It's always there to help you out in anything you need. And other stuff I really liked about Cote Dream is the great mentorship and guidance they give you. Code Dream offers a great variety of mentors to help you out in any questions you might have during class, and it's all for free, right? So I really love that about Code Dream. Mhm.
Thank you so much for explaining more. Also, one last question, but what's one piece of advice you would give to someone looking to possibly enrolling into Code the Dream?
One piece of advice I would give to people interested in enrolling to Code Dream is to not be afraid. Just like many of you might be afraid. I was afraid too when I applied to Code the Dream, but trust me, you will have so much fun as you get accepted to the program. You will have so much fun developing projects, and you will feel rewarded when you see those projects in action and when you see those projects showcased in your class. Um, Another piece of advice I would give to people interested in joining to Code the Dream is to never doubt about yourself. Um, just like many things in life, um, you might find challenges on this pathway, but I invite you to embrace those challenges, to have perseverance, to be resilient, because everything pays in the future, right? If you commit to the lessons daily, I guarantee that you will succeed during this program. Um, yeah, that would be my advice to everyone interested in joining to Code the Dream. Mhm,
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Saul. And for
mhm.
now, we'll actually go into explaining more about the program. So thank you for joining, Saul.
You're welcome. Mhm.
Hi, everyone, me again. So I'm going to cover a little bit of information about our program. Since we're new to you, we like to share our mission statement with everybody. Our mission statement is to create opportunities that change lives, build technology that benefit our communities, and to support diversity that drives a more just and innovative world. And we really focus on those three main points throughout Code the Dream. So whether you're a student, a volunteer, whether you're working in our lab side, whether you become staff member, whatever, we really like to focus on making sure that everybody has that opportunity to be able to make a positive impact in their lives or in others' lives. The lab side really does some pretty cool stuff with the technology that they're building, and we always focus on projects that help our communities. And then, of course, we look for diversity throughout the program, and we really want to make sure that the program accurately represents just the diversity of the world, because there are a lot of pockets out there in technology that don't represent that diversity, and we don't want to be one of those. So that gives you a little information about our mission statement. The next slide covers how we're structured. So as Lori had mentioned that she's involved in a little bit of everything, labs and classes. I'm just on the classes side, the CTD Learns side, and those are those free intensive classes in web development. We'll be talking about what those are like a little bit later. But we do have 4 classes that we currently offer, and we're looking to expand the curriculum that we offer. On the CTD lab side, graduates out of our program can apply for the apprenticeship if that seems like it's the best fit for them following completion of the program. And in the CTD lab side, we're building real projects for real clients, and the apprentices that are the graduates out of the program that work on those projects do have a paid apprenticeship to be able to be a source of income, as well as sort of get your foot in the door and get really comfortable and ease your way into the industry. Next slide, please, Lori. So we also like to just outline the path a little bit so you have an idea of, okay, I'm interested in applying, where do I go from here? So at the very start, you'll fill out a request for an application, and then you'll fill out an application to be able to apply to our classes. Once you send in the application, you'll get a pre-work instructions email immediately after. And the pre-work is intended to be able to check to see if our program's the right fit for you, and if you're well equipped to be able to succeed and do well in our program. So you complete the application, complete the pre-work. Based on how your pre-work is and your application information, you'll either be accepted into Intro to Programming if that's what you're applying for, which is sort of the entry-level course that we offer, or you can also apply to an advanced class if you're coming to us with some experience already in JavaScript or in development. And so you can apply for those advanced classes and do the pre-work for those advanced classes to sort of jump the line out of intro or test out of intro and come into us at the advanced level classes. After the advanced classes only, we offer practicum, which is a small group opportunity where you're building a project from start to finish, from concept through deployment. And it's really fun. It gets you comfortable with a lot of the industry tools and project management skills and all of those good things. After practicum, you kind of have the option. You can either apply to CTD Labs as an apprentice if you're interested, or you can also just go ahead and start your career, start looking for internships and entry-level positions in web development, so that way you can hit the ground running. I think that covers all the information I'm going to be sharing with you, so I'm going to pass it back over to Ashley now.
Oh, and Lord, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, now, so we'll talk about the summer 2024 classes. And Lori and Mary Alice, feel free to chime in at any time after I finish with the slide to further explain any concepts. But for our classes, I do want to reiterate that these are for anyone who's 18 years or older, and who is willing to commit about 15 to 20 hours per week. So this is kind of like a part-time program. So it is pretty intensive, but it will give you the knowledge that you need to go on to apply to full-time software developer positions afterwards. All right. So for summer 2024 classes, now we do have 3 trimesters as well too. So we have summer 2024 and also fall, and then spring 2025. But today we're going to be talking about the upcoming. So I want you guys to almost ignore the class names because it'll be confusing to explain, but we'll talk about the class types. So in the orange, that is our intro to programming, in which most of you guys will come into the intro to programming class. So all of our classes are about 18 weeks long. All right. Start date for the intro class is May 22nd, and that end date is September 24th. Now, the topics that will be covered in that class is web development basics such as JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Now, if you've already completed that intro to programming class, or if you're already knowledgeable about these concepts, you can then apply for our advanced classes, which is in the yellow. For our upcoming summer 2024 classes, that will be the Node and Express, React, and Ruby on Rails. And those class start dates will be a little later for being June 12th, 2024, and the end date at the latest will be February 4th. And that includes the practicum. So like I said, classes are 18 weeks, and then the practicum can be between 8 to 10 weeks. And that's when you build an app and with a group of people. Now for nodes, that is back-end development. For React, that is front-end, and then Ruby and Rails is back-end as well. And you can take a React and Node class together, and this is for the advanced applicants. You can take that together, but just note that you should put aside 40 hours per week to dedicate if you do want to take more than one. But we do have some people that do it, but you can do 20 hours for one class if you want to. Now, you can't take Ruby at the same time, though, because it is in a different programming language. All right, and then Lori or Marias, is there anything to add?
And I'll just add, you can definitely take any for the advanced classes. You can definitely take any of them after you take one other one. So you could take Ruby on Rails after you take React. We just don't advise that you work in two different programming languages at the same time, because we really want you to go in depth and learn really completely one programming language. Since, as Ashley said, since React and Node are both JavaScript based tech stacks, you can do those at the same time, but would, like she said, would need extra time.
All right, and then you can go to the next one. All right, so for general class requirements, as far as previous knowledge, for the Intro to Programming class, I want to stress that there are no previous requirements that you need to get into that class, but it is a pretty intensive class. So what would be helpful is that maybe if you know some exposure to basic programming concepts, like that a web page is run on a browser, or if you have some familiarity with computer basics, such as how to save a file, how to organize files, or whatnot. But like I said, no requirements, but this will be a good intro course for you, definitely. Just be committed to learning information and we got you. So for the advanced classes, for the previous experience that's required for those classes is JavaScript for Node and React applicants, and then GitHub and APIs for all advanced class applicants. And then is there anything to add before we move on?
I'll add, and I think we're probably going to talk about this later too, but for the intro class, it's true you don't need any previous requirements. When you are applying for the class during the second step, which is called our pre-work, which we'll go over in a bit, that is when you will start to actually develop some of that very first exposure. So that is where you would get some.
Yeah, great point, Lori, with that. All right, so for tools for the Intro to Programming class, a simple basic computer works. If you have a hybrid tablet, such as a Chromebook, that would work as well too, but you will have to do some workarounds. But luckily, your mentors will help you to do those workarounds. But if you do plan to advance into our advanced classes, definitely look into getting an actual computer, which if you don't have one already, you can, I know some libraries allow you to rent some laptops, or you can look for other affordable options that may work for you. But don't feel pressured in the intro class to buy anything new, as your Chromebook should work for this class. And also reliable internet. So you don't have to have your own Wi-Fi. We don't work with confidential information or anything. So you can go to any free public Wi-Fi areas like a Starbucks or a cafe, a library, that works. All right, for the advanced classes, we like to have a reliable computer with sufficient RAM, so having some memory on there so you can store some files. And then under our classes info section on our website, if you look under the question that's what kind of computer software do I need, that'll give you more information for that as well too. And also reliable internet for the advanced classes. All right. Cool. So for all classes, what we do require is commitment to working through challenging lessons. This may be new for a lot of you, so we definitely want you guys to know that you are supported. We do have dedicated mentors all throughout the week, helping you if you do have any challenging lessons to work through those. But we just want you to have the commitment to, seeing the end of the road, like, hey, this will lead to me being a full-time software developer, and being able to work through those with the mentors as well too. All right. And then for time, since, like I said, this is pretty part-time, so we do require you to have at least a dedicated 15 to 20 hours per week to work on class things. Now, this is asynchronous, so you can do this. It's pretty flexible and it's for adult learners, right? So you'll like watch videos or read different things and complete assignments every week. But let's say if you know the next week during your classes, it may be pretty busy, you can work ahead as well too. So we do offer that flexibility. And within the first week, 2 or 3, you'll know how much time it takes you usually to complete an assignment, and you can kind of adjust as needed. All right. For next steps, so we ask you to add the classes at codethedream.org to your contact list and your email. So whether that's Gmail or Yahoo, but just to make sure we don't go to your spam or junk folders. And also for the upcoming summer 2024 classes, that application deadline is March 17th. So if you're interested in applying, apply by March 17th. And if you know anyone else who is interested, let them know that the upcoming classes is March 17th as well too. And this comes after completing the application request. So once you go into our website, you can request the application. It's really like email verification, but it takes about a minute. Now, one thing to note about that is that it does filter certain people. So if you are under 18 years or older, you won't receive the application since this is for adult learners. Also, let's see. Oh, if you don't currently live within the United States, citizenship doesn't matter, but you will have to be residing within the United States to complete this application as well. So if you're international, it'll filter you out as well too. So just keep that in mind. Also, make sure you submit a working email and that is in good working order. Since this will be the main email we send like your acceptance letter to and any pre-work information. So don't use a spam one, use your regular email. And then make sure that you can receive emails. Sometimes we get like the inbox is too full or it may not be entered correctly. So definitely make sure it's entered correctly. Now for the application, it can take about 8 to 10 minutes. I actually did the application, so just letting you know from my experience. But if you do go more in depth on your questions, which we definitely advise you to do, it may take a bit longer, but it is pretty easy. And on there, you will decide what class you want to apply to. And then from then, you'll receive an email with those pre-work instructions for that class you applied to. All right. So with those pre-work instructions, we want you to read those carefully and make sure to watch the preview video at the top of the instructions page as it'll give you a good overview of what to expect during the pre-work. All right. Now, also email the classes at codethedream.org with any questions you may have throughout the whole application process. We are here to help you and we want to see you enroll in our program. So definitely don't be shy with any questions. And March 31st is our pre-work deadline for the summer 2024 classes. And that pre-work can take more or less 20 hours to complete based on how fast you work or whatnot. So we definitely want you to complete that earlier rather than later on, okay? And then on April 15th, you will receive acceptance or your letter if you're accepted or not. Don't expect that before April 15th. We will send it on April 15th. All right. And then if we don't send it then, which we should, we'll let you know, whatever. But if it's April 16th and you haven't received it, definitely check any spam or junk emails. And then if you have any questions, email us. All right. All right, so for the pre-work information, for intro applicants, you will complete a tutorial on Khan Academy if you've ever heard of it. It's a free program. And then you'll submit a job. Well, you'll do it with a JavaScript drawing and animation. And it's pretty fun. I'm doing it right now, creating different things, doing different drawings within JavaScript. So that's what you'll be doing for the pre-work for the intro applicants. And for advanced applicants, you will create a static website, and it can be a single or multi-page website, but with navigation and some styling features that uses an open source API to display data to the user. Now, for the intro class, we don't see your progress for the Khan Academy as you're going through that tutorial. So feel free to skip around if you want to, or if you need to watch multiple videos. We don't see that, so you can do what you want with it. You'll just submit the drawing assignment, and it's to prepare you for that assignment you'll submit for the pre-work. And for the advanced, let's say if you're applying for the React class, you don't have to build that site in React. You can build it in what language you know, such as like maybe vanilla JavaScript. All right. And then some people ask, can you use bootstrapping or design tools? In which you can, but you should be doing some manual styling yourself, such as if you have a template, make sure that you're doing some kind of modifications. All right.
I am going to add real quick for anybody that's applying to intro and you're doing the tutorial, the benefit of if you're completely new to development, new to programming, if you're doing the tutorial, it's good to do it start to finish because it kind of gives you an idea of the format of our classes a little bit as far as, you know, they'll present information to you, you kind of work alongside it. So it's a nice little test drive of the course to some extent to be able to do the tutorial if you're completely new and don't have any background in JavaScript or HTML or CSS. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you. And yeah, guys, continue to put questions in the chat. Like I said, we'll answer them later, but definitely put all your questions. We want to make sure you guys are knowledgeable coming in. All right. Okay, next slide. All right. So for pre-work, now, if you ask which pre-work do, I'd ask you, do you know what an API is? Me, I don't know. So I would do intro, right? But if let's say you do know what API is, you can attempt to do the advanced pre-work. And if you're looking over those instructions and you realize, hey, maybe I could chill out on the advanced class, you can stop that advanced pre-work and then you can do the intro to programming pre-work, but then you will be considered for the intro class. And then you can click again.
I'll pause on that one, Ashley, just because we did talk about that a little bit in the chat. So hopefully that is clear to everyone. Yeah, you can attempt the intro, or rather you can attempt the advanced pre-work first. And then you will not lose your chance at the intro class. So I think that's the main point. Yeah, you don't lose your chance at an intro class if you want to attempt the advanced pre-work.
Oh, Lori, there's like an animation, so you can, or a transition, so you can click the actual, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All right, so
keep going. I'll wait.
Yeah, there's one more actually.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you don't know what API is, or if you're only applying for the intro class, you would just do the intro pre-work. And if you are applying for one or more advanced classes, you will only do one pre-work. So if you are trying to do Node and React, you will just submit one pre-work assignment. And please note that just completing the application in itself does not guarantee if you'll be accepted or not. You will have to submit the pre-work as well too, as it is a part of the application. So if you don't submit the pre-work, and you get denied, that's why. Just letting y'all know. Cool. All right, then we can go for it. All right. So again, all applicants will be notified of the result of your application on April 15th for the summer 2024 applications. And all classes will have an orientation 2 weeks prior to your class start date. So for the intro class, that will be the week of May 6th. And that date and time is to be predetermined. Well, it's to be determined. If we do know that by April 15th, we'll send out that information along with your acceptance letter. And then if we don't send it, then you'll know at the latest a week before that orientation date. And then for advanced classes, you'll have that orientation the week of May 27th. And office hours will be the week prior to that class starting. So how it'll work is orientation 2 weeks beforehand, and then we'll have office hours that next week afterwards, and then classes will start the other week. So during the office hours week, we'll help you to set up with any questions you may have to help you to feel fully prepared when you go into the classes the week that it starts. And during the class, you'll work through the lessons and assignments weekly. You'll attend live mentor sessions to get a better understanding of class curriculum, and you'll get questions answered. So for those mentor sessions, those times and days do vary to accommodate for whatever works for you. So we know we work with different time zones. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to meet with a mentor, definitely. And usually those are weeknights or some weekends. And between the group sessions, group mentor sessions, and also one-on-one mentoring sessions that we offer for you, we have a pretty large window of time that you can meet with someone. All right. And we can move on. Okay, so how many people get in? So it varies. For the intro class, our latest class was 116 students. And then for advanced, this can also vary, but we're trying to accept as many people as those who submit the acceptable pre-work. All right, so just make sure that you complete all the guidelines and requirements within the pre-work, as that would be the best chance at getting into the program you will have. Just make sure that you submit all requirements. So double check your work and all. Now, what happens after the class? So now we can look more into when you take your class, then what's next, right? So if you're going into the intro class, you will then go on to take an advanced class. If you're in an advanced class, you'll then go into your practicum, in which we discussed a little bit earlier, which is that group work assignment. But then from there, you can apply for the apprenticeship if you're interested or if applicable. That is highly competitive, but like we said, it is a paid apprenticeship, 1 year, full time. You come onto our team. Now, also, you have the option of you can start applying for intern or junior developer jobs right then and there. Our classes are designed so that you can pass those technical exams when applying for those positions. So you can, right after practicum, just start applying for those positions, all right? Or you can take another advanced class and or practicum to increase and build your skill set. Now, what do we look for in applicants? We look for drive, okay? These classes are not for those just wanting to get a side hustle or a hobby, or if you're like, I don't know what coding is, let me see. We want you to know that you want to get a career in tech. And if you want to be a software developer, as this is the first step to becoming a developer within a year or two. All right, so this is the big deal, okay? All right. So what does this cost, you may ask? So this is 100% free. We don't ask for pennies or anything. This is 100% free. So we have grants and a development shop as part of our organization that allows us to offer these classes completely free for students. And we do ask, but we definitely don't require, that when you do graduate and land your developer job, to either donate back time as a mentor or a volunteer, or funds to help others follow in your footsteps. So like paying it forward. Now, one thing I would say that differentiates us from other free coding programs is that a lot of them do require you to pay back some of your salary once you become a software developer. And when I talked to one of the co-founders, they said that one of them capped out at $120,000. All right, so that's a lot. All right, so for us, we don't require anything out of your salary at all. This is really just to give back to the community. Okay. Now, which classes should I apply for? Check out those links. And I believe we'll send a slide deck afterwards, so you'll be able to click on those links, but it's the classes checklist. And then also look at the frequently asked questions section of the Code the Dream classes page, and and that'll help you decide as well too. All right, so thank you all for listening to me rant. And this is your time to ask any questions. I'd recommend that you raise your hand, or you can post questions in the chat. But thank you guys again. And then we're open for questions.
And there are a couple questions that have come up in the chat that I think will be really valuable to answer live. So just going back to one, we had someone ask if they can take the intro and an advanced class at the same time. Just to clarify on that answer is no. You do need to take the advanced class first, and then upon successful completion of that class, then you can go on to the advanced class. All right, next question was, upon completion of advanced classes and lab work, will I be introduced to any employer networks if we have any? Yeah, I can take this question, and I'll say that again, the way our program works is intro classes, then advanced classes, plus the practicum, and then you can have the option to apply for Code the Dream Labs apprenticeship, which is quite competitive. For individuals who do get into our Code the Dream Labs apprenticeship, there is a requirement of staying in as a Code the Dream Labs apprentice for at least 9 months before you start looking for other jobs. However, at that point, we do provide much more support for you and getting involved with employer networks and just learning more things about your resume and LinkedIn and things like that. That is once you get into the end part of the apprenticeship. For students, if you complete the practicum, we are actually starting to build out more resources for students who complete the practicum to get connected with the job opportunities, and being able to review resumes and things like that. I'll be honest, in the past, when our program was much smaller, almost everybody went into the apprenticeship, and then we, worked with them to help identify job opportunities. Now our classes have grown so much, which is such a wonderful, wonderful blessing. However, that's also meant that not as many people get into the apprenticeship now. So we advise students, you really can't count on getting into the apprenticeship. But like Ashley said, you will be well prepared at the end of the practicum to continue your job search. And oh, thank you. Sorry, I just realized the spotlight was probably messing messing folks up. I may have been a disembodied voice. My apologies. Sorry about that. Yes. So yeah, we are continuing to build out our resources and job prep for students who complete the practicum. That's the answer to that question. See. Let's see, here's another question, which I don't know, maybe I can ask this and Mary Alice could answer. Someone else mentions, I would love to hear more about balancing work with the intro program. It's flexible, but will it be difficult to work full-time while you're doing the class? Or do some students choose to cut their regular job hours and work part-time while completing the program?
Yeah. So we have students in all kinds of different, diversity is one of our cornerstones. And so students are in all kinds of circumstances. Some of them have worked multiple jobs or part-time jobs, full-time jobs, have caretaking that they have to do of anybody. So you can definitely work around your schedule. You don't have to change your schedule unless you personally feel like you would benefit from that. The short answer is do what's best for you financially. If you need to keep all of your hours, you can keep all of your hours and make class work in addition to having a full-time job. A lot of our mentors are across time zones. So even if you need something early morning East Coast, then you might be able to work it out because we do have some international volunteers too. Or if you're West Coast and you need something earlier in the morning, then later in the day person on the East Coast could help you out. So we do try and cover as big of a window as possible to be able to give you plenty of opportunity to meet with mentors at a time when it's convenient for your schedule. If you do find yourself in a situation where you just have this tiny little sliver of time to meet with somebody and you need help, that's where I come in as the class coordinator, and I can help arrange that and make sure that you're getting the support that you need throughout class.
One other thing that I'll mention, and Saul, if you're still on, think that if you'd like to share what you wrote in the chat to respond to that question, I think that would be great as well.
Yes. Yes. So the question was about like balancing work with the study plan, right?
Yes.
So on my case, when I started on Cote Dream, I was a full-time employee. I worked 8 hours or more sometimes, and I was still able to complete all the classes. It just takes commitment, and in my case, I took like every day I saved like 1 hour or 2 hours per day for classes purposes. By doing that, it helped me a lot. Saving that time for classes, it helps a lot. Also, I never felt stressed when I was completing the classes because I think the program is designed to be as flexible as possible for you, right? So in my case, work wasn't something that was in the way for my classes, and I think everyone can do it too if there is commitment, right?
That's great, Saul. Thank you for that. Yeah, most of our students are either working or in another educational program. And so this is designed to be full-time. Our program is part-time so that you can continue working at another job. One thing that I will also add, I think Saul had a great idea about just making sure you're reserving, say 2 hours a day to work on coding. I will mention that one thing that I think is very different about coding than other kinds of work that I've done in the past is that it really requires a level of quiet focus that I have not experienced in other things that I've learned. So that, I guess, is one thing you need to think about as you're planning out your study times. You really need time that's quiet, where your kids aren't bugging you, where the TV is not on, where people aren't, coming in and out of your room. I think it would be hard for me to work on my coding assignments in Starbucks, for example. You certainly can, especially if you've got great, noise canceling headphones, but that's something you want to think about when you're setting up your study environment, is how you really need some very focused time in a way that is very different than other things that I've learned. Okay, let's see, another question just came in, a great question in the chat. For those who are working full-time, when are the live sessions usually scheduled? Mary Alice.
So, yep. So the group instructor sessions where it's several students and one instructor that's on the call together, those can vary from class to class, but usually they're weekday evenings. Sometimes they're on weekends too. The one-on-one sessions are available kind of throughout the whole week. I've seen some folks as early as like 6 a.m. East Coast time on weekdays, some as late as 10 or 11 o'clock at night on weekdays or weekends. So it can really scan the whole calendar for the most part for one-on-one sessions. We usually require you to attend one group session each week. So you may have to, dedicate a time that's available as far as the schedule. Schedules change from class to class because it's dependent on the volunteers that are helping with that class as instructors as to when they're available for when we can offer those. So you might want to either carve an hour out once you see your class's schedule, or if you have a particularly tight schedule yourself, you can always schedule those one-on-ones instead.
Any other questions? Feel free to unmute and ask or post more in the chat.
Can you guys hear me?
And while you guys are, oh, yeah.
You can
Go
hear
ahead.
me? Okay. Hi, my name is Jimmy. In Virginia. I'm sorry I couldn't join the chat. I am having internet problems today. My question is, I want to join the Intro to Programming course. And I have already spent 30 plus hours on doing, I think I'm up to almost lesson 11 on the Intro to Java. But I'm kind of at a standstill, and I was wondering exactly what the prerequisite courses were to get my acceptance.
Yeah, let's see, Mary Alice, do you want to answer that? You want me to?
Sure, yeah, I can answer that. So the portion of the pre-work assignment where you're using the P5JS drawing library, and it instructs you to use the guidelines that we give as far as you need to declare variables, you need to create a for loop, you need to create a conditional, and then you need to create a function. If you can get those 4 things into your project on the P5JS library, which should be part 2 of your instructions, then you should be good to go and just submit that work in by March 31st. If you're working through the Khan Academy tutorial and you're hitting a lesson where you're really stuck and you're really confused and having trouble, then it's helpful to either reach out to resources that might be able to help you, take a look online for any other answers that kind of help get you unblocked on that particular concept. If you're having an issue of getting your code to work on that P5JS site where you're inputting your code, then you can email us and say, hey, here's what I've got so far. This is the issue I'm running into. I can't guarantee that you'll get a timely response, but you can definitely send us that information. That way we at least know that you're hitting some snags, but you are making efforts and working towards getting your project done. Does that help answer your question, Jimmy, or did you have other questions about it?
Yes, it did. I think I've already completed what you're asking for the prerequisites, and I feel like I'm maybe a little farther.
Good.
And
Good.
I'm kind of hitting a roadblock because I feel like it's getting more advanced.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the Khan
I mean,
Academy tutorial that we send folks through is, I think it's 18 lessons. Is that right, Mary Alice?
I think so. That sounds right, Lori.
Yeah, so I can't
so
remember
the
what.
intro to, okay, so the intro to Java would be for 18 lessons,
Intro to
and then
JavaScript.
yeah, and then the next one it says is the intro to HTML.
I'll have to take a look. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just basically waiting to see if I got accepted or not, and I kind of kept going.
Have you already been able to generate your own code that you put into that, what Mary Alice was saying, that P5, which is a different space than Khan Academy?
No, it just says computer programming lesson 10 is functions, and then I'm on the project fish tank.
Okay, why don't you hang on for a little bit if you can after the call, and we can see if we can address that questions more specifically. I don't want to take too much time away.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're able
Thank
to.
you guys. I didn't want to butt in during the beginning spiel there, so
Sure.
I will wait for you. Please continue.
Okay, we have another question about how to request pre-work for an advanced class after already completing the pre-work for an intro class. Mary Alice, can you take that one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and take a look and see. Sorry, I was looking through the Khan Academy. Where's that question at again, Lori?
Oh, sorry. How do I request the pre-work for the advanced class if I've already completed the pre-work for the intro class?
Yeah, I actually don't think I have a link on the intro assignment for the advanced work in the intro. We do link the intro work in the advanced in case you need to jump down and do the intro instead. But you can get to it by going to codethedream.org open-pre-work. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat for you for here so that way you have it.
And also you could, that's definitely something you could email us about. Well,
adding it right now for you.
any other questions?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Tatiana. I have a hard time to decide what class to pick between React and Node. I start learning React. I'm working on creating an online website right now, like online store. So do you think, should I go kind of forward and pick up Node class, or you would recommend to kind of review React with you?
How comfortable do you feel in React, Tatiana, to for the e-commerce site that you're building right now? Is that something that you're following a tutorial, or are you just kind of doing it on your own to build up your portfolio, or?
Definitely, I'm not doing it on my own. I'm kind of following tutorials and picking up stuff from different courses, different classes or YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah. You could go a couple of ways. So if you feel like you're really enjoying React and you want to make sure that you have a thorough, well-rounded, especially if you've been self-educating on it, then I would recommend applying for the React class and take it. The other option you could do is apply for the Node class. And then at the end of the Node class, the React and Node students actually combine together for practicums. So even though you could be doing a Node practicum following your Node class, you could still be applying the React knowledge you got before our program while you're working with your team in the practicum following a Node class. So you could kind of do either direction, whatever you think might be most interesting to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would, I don't work with Mary Alice in all of this, but I will say that if you're thinking about doing both, I would recommend doing React first, and that will give you a really a much deeper foundation in React, and then going on to Node, because you'll have a few more options if you do React first, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I also want to tell you guys a few facts as well too. So we actually did just send a group of 10 apprentices off full-time working at SAS, which is a big tech company, and their average salaries being $85,000 per year. So just want to put that out there, that we do have people who come from not knowing anything about coding to actually getting that full-time software developer position as well too.
Because you mentioned apprenticeship, I have another question. Like, when are you available, when I could be capable, when I can apply for that apprenticeship, after Node or after React?
So you can apply after React. You will, if you go through Node, so React and Node together will make you a very qualified full stack developer. However, if you have Node just by itself, it's going to be harder to get accepted into the apprenticeship program than if you have both Node and React, or if you just have React. Because if you if you do Node first, you basically are still going to need to take React at some point. You can't, there's not too many circumstances where you're only going to use Node. You'll almost always be using it together with React. So after React or Ruby on Rails, which if you are become a Ruby on Rails developer, you are basically full stack. You've got backend and you have backend and front end in Ruby on Rails, and that's a really, really solid language. Even though it's a little bit less popular than it once was, there are still lots of big companies like Airbnb, like it's lots of other large companies that use Ruby on Rails, and it's a very solid language that gives you great foundation. So after any of the advanced classes, you can apply for the apprenticeship, but if you only have Node, you probably would still need to take one more class.
What would be, do you have more chances to get to apprenticeship with React and Node or with Ruby on Rails?
It just depends on whatever is when we get to talk about apprenticeship, and again, that's much later in the process. But there's so many different factors, like what kind of funding that we have available, what projects we have. And so if we have a Ruby on Rails project, we might need Ruby on Rails developers right then. So it's very hard to predict what we will need, say, in a year. But I can tell you, if you are full stack and have both Ruby on Rails and React, or React and Node, then you definitely have a greater chance, just because you're more versatile in having both front end and back end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on top of that, just as Lori said, like the apprenticeship is not the only route as well too. Like you guys will be developed to be able to apply for. I know I looked up the other day at other company apprenticeships, like through those large companies. A lot of them have their own apprenticeship programs as well too, and you can apply for associate developers and junior developer roles. So you can go through our apprenticeship program, but there's also other opportunities once you finish our classes as well.
All right, thank you all so much. I think we can stay on a bit longer to answer. I'm sorry, I've already forgotten your name, but the gentleman on the phone, we can take a deeper chat. And if anyone else has additional questions, feel free to stay on as well. But I think we can probably close out.
Yes, and look to apply as well too. We definitely look forward to helping you all see a career in software development. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.